My name is Aaron LeBauer. This is the CashPT Lunch Hour, and my guest today is Jen Esquer, and she is, DocJenFit, on Instagram. And I met her at Lewis Howes's Summit of Greatness this year. I was there because I was in his program last spring, and I went to the conference and had an amazing time. And one of the best things about the conference was every morning there was a different workout, and Jen was one of the people leading the workouts. I knew she, from reading her bio, she was a PT. I was like, I got to go to this workout. She kicked my butt, and we did the little baby goat things, which were incredibly hard. And so I was like, I got to introduce myself to her afterwards. We started chatting, and after talking to her then and another time during the conference, I was like, I got to have you on my podcast. So Jen, thank you very much for joining us and making time out of your day. I really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, awesome. So just to give a little background, I know you're a physical therapist. Just, I want you to just tell us a little bit, about why you became a PT. When did you, where'd you go to school? When did you graduate? And, and just kind of get us caught up to where you are right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I went to physical therapy just because it made sense to me. I have always loved human movement. I taught gymnastics right when I was in college. And then when I was teaching gymnastics, I found Pilates, and then I started teaching Pilates. And those two things kind of connected with me. But I knew I didn't want to be a gymnastics coach my whole life. And as I started to dive into Pilates, I loved it. But it was like, why am I modifying a movement? Why am I changing it? Why do they have pain? There was these questions that I had that I always wanted to know more, and I wanted to know why. So I was in kinesiology for undergrad, and I knew that I didn't want to go on to something like a medical doctor or a nurse, dealing with the injuries that were happening right then and dealing with blood and all that. It was just that's not really my scene. And I just loved movement. And when I was a physical therapy aide, watching a therapist look at movement and feel movement, I was always like, what are they watching and what are they feeling? So it was just something that I knew I wanted to go into. So I went to Loma Linda University for physical therapy school. And then I graduated in 2015.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Here I am today.
That's really great. I did one of my clinical rotations out in the Bay Area, and there are a couple people there that went to Loma Linda, but you probably didn't know that. I think they were probably a few years ahead, but that's a pretty popular school out in California. Where is that actually? Because I don't know.
It is inland, just inland.
Inland. Is it like Modesto, or was it more Southern California, Palm Springs?
Yeah, it's Southern California. Yeah, kind of toward Palm Springs and Riverside area. And it is a Seventh-day Adventist school. So it is a private Christian school. So there is chapel and stuff that you have to go to, but all the professors are amazing. And, so I kind of applied, to be honest, just locally to where I lived, because I wanted to commute and not have to take out loans to live. And so it was most convenient to me. I didn't apply out of state. I didn't apply far in LA even. I just applied to what was local to me.
Yeah. Well, I did that too. I went to the school 30 minutes away.
Yeah. That's honestly what I tell people. I say, at the end of the day, you're all going to graduate and pass the same exact boards. Yeah. So it's what you continue to learn afterwards and the PT you continue to be that really makes a difference. But where you go doesn't as much make a difference. I mean, there are going to be networking and connections. I have people who went to USC, and yes, they've met some great PTs and been able to study under some people. But other than that, I would say, just get into PT school. Don't worry too much about where you go, because it's really what you continue to learn afterwards.
Right. What is it like that what's the number one thing you took out of PT school that helped you so far, and what's the thing that was missing?
What I took out of PT school was that I have a license to treat. It gave me a baseline for where to start, I would say. But what I do with a client now is everything I've learned after PT school, I would say.
Yeah.
PT in terms of like education gave me just, red flags, what to look out for, how to really be a doctor in this field in terms of when you need to refer out and all of that. But at the same time, I feel like actually being able to treat someone came later.
Yeah. What what did you go learn right away from PT school? Did you go get a job somewhere? Did you work in a PT mill? Did you what'd you study? What'd you do?
Yeah. So once I passed boards, I went and I got a job in Santa Monica because I just knew that I wanted to be in that area. I was loving the acro community and just the movement there. And I was making a lot of friends within the fitness community. So it just seemed like a perfect place for me to be and connect. So I took a job in Santa Monica, and I made sure I also took a job where I was promised mentoring. So it wasn't about getting the highest paying job. I was able to negotiate a little bit since it was LA, but it was really about, am I going to be mentored? And and I took a place that we only had to see a patient every half hour. Yeah. So it wasn't your typical meal that's 3 to 4 patients an hour or even more. It was one, you had an hour for an eval, and then you had a half hour with every follow-up. So it was actually the best that I was probably going to find at the time. Now there are a lot more in LA that are popping out that are treatment one patient an hour, but that was what I found at the time. And I was promised mentoring. So that's what the environment I really wanted to start out in.
Did you get mentoring? Because I know I've had a lot of friends who actually didn't get mentoring when they were promised it. Did you learn a lot there and get that?
So I feel like I got to a ceiling for mentoring, where it was great at first, and he really wanted to take us in as new PTs and teach us what he knew. But it was also, I feel like he had a lot of knowledge, but what you saw him with his clients, it wasn't as him using all of that. It was more of like doing ultrasound, doing the modalities, doing the same 2 to 3 exercises with every single client. So we didn't really get to experience everything that what he would talk about. So it kind of felt like we got to a ceiling of like, okay, this is what he likes to do. This is what he knows, which is great. But at the same time, what am I learning more now? And so it became almost like we took him out of the picture as our mentor, and us new PTs just started to like talk about new things together, research together. And so we kind of formed our own mentoring group.
And did you start going to more Con Ed at that point?
Yeah, definitely. And I had mentors outside of my workplace as well. So I made sure that I connected with people that I admired. I reached out to people I admired. I met up with them when they were in LA, and I really got to pick their brain. And to be honest, social media did give me an opportunity to be able to do that and connect with people that I admired in the space. But yeah, so I formed mentors that way as well, and made sure that I connected with them and continued to learn from them and provide as much value as I could toward them as well.
Awesome. So did you end up going to work somewhere else after that, or did you move into just doing your own thing at some point?
I moved into doing my own thing. So I worked there for about a year and a half. And then I started, as my social media started to grow, I started to get a lot of people who were reaching out to me privately. But even before that happened, I went over to a CrossFit, and on days that I ended work early, I would take my table and I would treat clients, like 2 to 3 clients at a CrossFit after I would work a full day. And that was cool. I would just like leave cards. How I kind of got my foot in the door. My friend knew one of the managers. I went over, had a talk with him. They didn't have any PT set up at that place. So I said, hey, let me work on you, show you what I can do if you like me. And then I offered to work on him for free, and he allowed me to leave my cards there and work on any of the clients that their CrossFitters needed.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I started a little bit of a side hustle.
Yeah. Cool. And then was it like, was it something, was it just because people asked you, or you were like, okay, what I'm doing is just not satisfying to me. Like the promise isn't there and I want more, or I expect more, or Like for me, it was almost like I can't work for anyone because they might try to micromanage me too much. And, you know, it's like, what was it that kind of made you go say, I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm going to own do my own thing.
You know, it's so funny. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Like I went into PT school, like I love Pilates and I love, so I'm probably going to be a women's health therapist. I'll work for someone. I just never saw myself as an entrepreneur. But it was in my last year of PT school. I saw Doc Trish, she's a chiro, working on my boyfriend at his house. And she had her own table, she had her own tools, and when I saw her do her treatment, it was all physical therapy, and I was like, that's. So I asked her, and I was like, how are you doing this? How are you working for yourself and just going over to clients' houses and you know, and I learned a lot from her in that regard. And I remember being in one of my classes in PT school, our business class, quote unquote, and they said. They were talking about opening up your own practice and how hard it's going to be and all these things. And I was like, well, now that we have direct access in California, can't we just like treat patients one-on-one at their house or go to different places? Like I met a chiro who's doing this and they said, no, that won't work. What? So they told like a class of 60 something people that's just not an option, which blew my mind. But that really kind of opened my eyes immediately to there's more out here than they are telling us or that they're showing us or that they know. You know, they probably just don't know this world. And so I started to ask Trish and kind of get on her, and she started in a CrossFit. So that's why my initial thing was like, okay, let me reach out. They get injured a lot. And so that's where I kind of started in that regard. And then as my social media started to grow, more people started to ask to work with me. I would take them to the CrossFit, but then it just became a lot for me to handle. And I was getting more opportunities. I would hear people coming into the clinic who were asking to work with me and paying cash to work with me that didn't have insurance. And then I started to say, okay, I don't see this cash. I don't, you know, I have an opportunity here to just jump at it. And we have a career. I can always go back and work at a place if I feel like I need to. So I just kind of all of a sudden just decided it's my time. And I quit. I gave them literally a week's notice because I was like, guys, I have a lot to figure out. So I'm out. And I had 9 clients within my first week. Wow.
That's awesome. So did you, let me go back and ask, like, when did you start sharing what you knew on social media? Because that seems like, you know, the thing that kind of like pushed this along. So when was it that you said, okay, I feel confident enough to start sharing what I've just learned with people, you know, because a lot of people come out of PT school and they're like, I was told I need 5 years of experience to do my own thing before I know anything, before I'm whatever. I mean, so when did that happen for you and how did it go?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I didn't have the confidence. So I graduated in June, and then I think, and I got my job in August, I believe, passed boards in October, was up in Toronto in November. So this was all within the same year. I was up in Toronto visiting my friends from Myo Detox, and my friend Vinny, who had a booming Instagram, was like, okay, people think you already do yoga. So just play into that. And he said, do yoga poses and stuff and talk about anatomy in the body. And I was like, I don't know how that will go. At this point in time, I had kind of stepped away from social media because I had a following based on fitness from accidentally starting to post things when I was in school. But once I graduated, I was like, PT is my focus. I just want to learn and be the best. And I don't care about this little hobby on the side.
Right.
But then he was the one who really convinced me to like start posting videos on education and what I know. And so I posted one video about how to open up the upper back and get out of pain in the low back when you're in a wheel pose. And that took off. Yeah. And that was my first example of like, oh, maybe people do want to know. And so, and for me, it was basic information.
Yeah. Do you remember how many like hits or shares or whatever that got?
So at the time I had 100,000 people following me already, but per video I would only get like at max 20,000 views. Like that was a good video for me.
Mm-hmm.
And after I shared that one video, it got I woke up in the morning, it had 66,000 views. And so I was like, whoa, okay, this is different. And so after that, I just started sharing basic stuff. And that was the thing, like people don't know anything, you know? And so we get in our minds of like, I don't know all this, like cool, like, I don't know, whatever it is of just feeling like you don't know enough, but you're not comparing yourself to other PTs. You're comparing yourself to people who are just, you know, working at 9-to-5 jobs who aren't a PT, aren't a chiro, aren't all these other things. Right. So they don't know the healthcare system. They don't know the body at all. And so that's who you're talking to. So once I started to post all of that, I grew over 350,000 in a year.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. How'd you get to the first 10 though?
Well,
you know, like was that just in college, in high college or grad school? And
grad school, I started dabbling in calisthenics, and it was my friend who had a large following. He had like 300,000 3 years ago, which was a lot. Yeah. And he would post all the calisthenic community. And so he started posting me, and then I started to grow. Yeah. And so I started posting my calisthenic journey toward competing, because I competed when I was in grad school. And then I discovered acro yoga. So I started posting that journey. I started hosting challenges with yogis. So it was purely fitness that I started growing my Instagram. But then the growth on the other side really just came from, what do people not know? Mm-hmm. How can I make it as attractive as possible, which was put the anatomy photo next to it. Yeah. And just talk to people on a real level, not on a PT level. Yeah. Yeah. Is it like, did you like survey people and say, what do you want? Or you were just like, okay, let's see what people want. Or just that one first post, you were like, oh, I need to do more like that. It was more like that. Yeah. And then it was, I knew who my audience was, because I knew that I had hosted a lot of yoga challenges. So I had a lot of yogis. I did a lot of handstands. I had a lot of yogis. So again, it was like, okay, talking to the audience that I already know that I have, which was yoga. Since then, it's grown into just people who want to learn about exercise and not getting hurt and injured, or if they're already in pain and how to talk out of that. And then, like social media, it is a little bit of luck, because people are always trying to figure out the algorithm and trying to, you know, how do I get the best numbers and how do I do this? But you know what? You've got to continue to be consistent with it, because consistency is everything. Yeah. And you have to put out good content. If it's not hitting, there's something you're missing. So it's either not attractive enough to the eye. It's not catchy enough. You have to think of social media, Instagram, all these things as a billboard as well. So if I'm scrolling through something, what's going to make me stop? Or if it pops up into the popular page, what's going to make me click on it? Why would I do that? So having the anatomy photo next to it with like a red thing on it that's like pain in the shoulder, right. That's going to make people attracted to it. So, I mean, there's not like a magical key. It's being consistent, and it's being smart with it as well, and knowing a little bit of marketing, what's going to be most attractive. Did you, like, when you switched focuses, did you have to change, like, do you have to rebrand your page or your handle or any of that stuff? I did. I was Jen_ES_care, because that's how you say my name, Jen S. Care. Because when I made an Instagram, it was for friends and family. It was not for anyone else. And then I started to grow that way. And then that's when I graduated, and I was like, okay, no one knows what I actually do or who I actually am. And so that's when I decided to switch my name over to DocJenFit. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And then was that confusing to people, or were people like, oh, dang? You know, I mean, people didn't even notice. Some people didn't even notice. Some people were like, oh, the DOC means doc? And I was like, yeah.
Not like DOC from NWA.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, some people didn't get it, but it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. What if someone wants to, while we're on this topic of Instagram, well, let me ask you, like, are you doing the same thing on Facebook, or is Facebook a different strategy? Do you have the same amount of followers or types of people like over on your Facebook page, or how's it go?
No, so my focus has been Instagram because it is, as Cindy pointed out, I do respond to just about everyone. So it's a lot to keep up with. So Facebook, I repost exactly what I have from Instagram, but I have zero strategy because Facebook is a different beast. You need your captions written out because people are scrolling through and going to just read it instead of listen to it.
Right.
And a lot of my videos don't even have wording. And then for Facebook, a little bit longer videos, a little bit better. There's just different strategy for Facebook altogether that I haven't even dove into. So I can't even tell you what my Facebook is at right now. I think it's at like 8,000.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in PT school, people were like, and so this was in 2006, right? And they were like, do you have the Facebook? And I'm like, what is the Facebook? I'm like, what is it? I was 30. I was 32 or something like that. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, And so then so Facebook, like I only started using Instagram, in the last 2 years. And so they are very different. And, I think part of it is, also what you're promoting, but it's also like how you're promoting or how you're interacting with people. And sometimes it's who you're interacting with too, I think. But is there like one big difference that, you're like, okay, don't do this on Instagram, or don't do this Instagram thing on Facebook that you can share with people? Yeah.
For Facebook or for Instagram, I would say it used to be shoot your video in a horizontal format because it fits into a square better. But again, the longer the better. Oh, thanks, Dinah. The longer the better for Instagram, because think of it again as a billboard. If you're going to scroll through and you're going to see something fill up your screen more, it's better. So I shoot all my videos vertical now. It does become a square when I put it next to the picture, but that's fine. But if I don't put it next to the picture, I always have it as extended out as I can. So no more little horizontal videos. Those are going to get passed through like very quickly. I've posted like professional type videos that are horizontal and little, and they're like shot beautiful and amazing. No one cares. And then for Facebook, again, I haven't dove in a lot. So it's a different beast, but it really is about how are you going to capture someone in the first 3 seconds of that video. Literally 3 seconds is what you need to capture someone first. So typically it is going to have the writing and the text at the bottom, and it is going to be some kind of hook in the beginning. So you need some kind of hook in. So whether you're talking as a therapist, you're like, talking about pain in the very beginning, or did you know that you can get out of this? Or did you like something that is going to be attractive and catch someone in the very beginning of the video. And then you can go into a little bit of a longer, because you could go over a minute for Facebook. I probably wouldn't go over 5 minutes though, because again, think about people's attention span. And then for both, do lives, Facebook lives. Don't be afraid to jump on there and talk. Instagram lives, especially now, you could do the Instagram live split. So I've done a lot of Instagram lives where I hop on with other friends, and it's like my little mini platform of a podcast. And it's awesome because I could do it with other people. So I love doing that. And it really, the more connection that you can build. So again, someone said that I answer almost all my comments and DMs, and I do, because I am trying to continue to build that connection with people. And I just want people to feel that for me as well. Like I'm a person, I'm a human.
Right. That's awesome. So how has this social media like presence growth, how has that affected your own like brick and mortar cash practice? Like how's that affected it? It
helped it boom. So I was at a point, I was seeing like 8 patients a day, and I was like, whoa, I need to slow down. because then I burnt out.
Yeah. Like in your own business.
In my own business. 8 patients a day when you're in a clinic is nothing. That's like an easy day. But when you're on your own, you are diving into people. And that's what you should be doing. I mean, the main thing that's going to help you grow is your connection with people in person. That's going to, if you build a relationship with someone, they're going to be like, that person cares about me. That person's amazing. I'm going to go tell everyone now. Mm-hmm. But it's really the connection that you can build. And then you don't even, like I have friends who have zero marketing strategy just because they built a connection.
Right.
And so, and especially when you're on your own, now you have an hour to just dive in. You don't have an aide. You don't have anyone else around you. It's just you. So it gives you that opportunity. And that's what I love. Like I'm asking people, just we're diving in. I have people cry. I used to have people cry on my table almost every week. I don't see as many clients anymore, and that was a successful thing for me because then I allowed a space where people can open up, and that's really what it's about. Especially when you're talking about pain and other stuff like that.
Right. So right now, are you seeing, or what are you seeing? Like, how many people a week are you seeing right now in your own? Are you like,
well,
I mean, is this like,
I was away for 3 weeks. So I kind of pushed everyone back. And now coming back, I actually, because I'm diving into a whole new world of online marketing, it's a lot to learn and a lot to dive into. So I'm focused fully on that, and I'm only treating 1 day a week.
Okay. Are you, so what, you had built your business up, like what was the most number of people you saw, like in your own cash practice?
Like 8 clients a day, 6 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you did that within what, like about a year or two? Like how long did that take to build up to that? From when you quit your job to like, what was that amount of time?
A few months.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's crazy. That's great. But that's like, but you had already positioned yourself prior to doing that as a go-to authority on pain and injuries and everything.
Yeah. But really, I mean, I'm not going to find everyone from social media in my, in LA. Yeah. So it is, again, about building that connection and getting the word out.
Was it just like, so how'd you get the word out? How are you building the connections? What were you doing? Was it like through your other friends you knew, people you knew, professionals? What were you doing there to get patients?
So I worked out of a gym and I was just like table out where the weights are kind of thing. And so people would see me working on other people and come up and ask, well, what are you doing? And what do you do? And are you a masseuse? What's happening? So I started getting people just based on them seeing me. And then, people talking to other people. It's just word of mouth.
Awesome. Did you do anything to like promote word of mouth or, do anything for, that kind of thing, or just kind of like happen through the community there at the gym? Yeah. Awesome. So then you did that for a while, and then you launched an online wellness program. And so so tell me about that. And it sounds like now you're pretty much focused on the online part more, or the online marketing, getting this online wellness program out to people rather than seeing, people one-on-one, right? So when did the online things, like when did the idea to say, okay, let me do a, online business, let me take this, knowledge to the masses, like when did that start and how'd that come about?
Well, I've always felt like I was taking it to the masses by doing my posting and everything. But I felt like I wasn't able to reach as many people as I wanted to, or really help as much as I wanted to, because people were still asking me, well, what about this pain? What about this pain? And I'd say, go see your local therapist, go see your local therapist, go see your local therapist. But then I'd also get answers back of like, well, they do ultrasound and they do like just these little things that they focused in on the problem and the pain, and they didn't look at the person as a whole. And so I wanted to help more. And I said, okay, how can I do this? And I noticed that just like my mobility videos were doing the best. When I asked my audience, I did ask my audience, I surveyed my audience. I sent out a survey asking them to fill out easy 6 questions. I mean, you don't want a survey to be very long. So I asked his pretty basic questions as to like, where are you right now? Do you have pain? What do you like to do for working out? If I were to give you something, what would you want to see? That kind of thing. And everyone said mobility. And then when I did an Instagram live, I asked people again, if I were to give you something, what would you want from me? Mobility. And I do believe, you know, a lot of times we're missing the baseline point, which is getting back to breath work and getting back to mobility, which is true mobility, not just stretching, but like actually being able to control what you do within your body. Because we're just loading on top of that, especially a lot of times on Instagram and stuff in the fitness world. It's like, let's just lose weight and get skinny without understanding what my body's really doing and how it's moving. So that's how I decided to create this program, which honestly, some people don't like because it doesn't give you a day-by-day thing to do, because I don't believe in that. We're all created differently. We all have different restrictions within our body. You've got to dive in and do the work. So that's what I leave it up for people to do.
Right. Wow. So this is so tell us a little bit about like, how'd you structure this? I know you've done it through Instagram, but is it like a membership program? Do you just deliver like a few weeks of mobility exercises by email? How's it structured and set up?
So I use a platform called Thinkific for hosting. There's also Kajabi. I think there's another one, but that allows you to have like your text, your videos, your everything in one place, so that you take out that old structure of PDF and video on Vimeo or whatever it may be. So it streamlines everything. So you have your whole e-course on one thing. They just log in. They can log in on their phone, on iPad, on computer, on anything. And it has everything there. It's all there. So there's like a little self-screening that they can go through just so that they see where their range of motion is right now. And it kind of guides them into exercises based on different restrictions. And then it's broken up into different body parts. Yeah.
Awesome. Then people can take themselves through it based on your guidelines over the course of like, how many weeks or days is this?
It's a lifetime program. So so I say, take your time, pick your top 2 to 3 places that are most restricted or that you're in most pain or whatever it may be, and focus in on those. Give yourself at least 3 weeks and then move on to something else or add in something else. That's hard for people. Again, like, you have the autonomy, you have the responsibility to now do the work yourself, which people don't like to do.
Right. Do you have like a support group or anything that you've created for this?
Yeah.
So, is there like, because some people put like, people in like a Facebook group and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have a Facebook group, and I do live so that I can answer questions and stuff like that.
Awesome. Because I know there's a lot of people coming and say, hey, how do I start an online wellness program? And I think that what you're doing is amazing. And I think what I'm picking up from it is that you use social media and you created a cash practice that was really busy, but you were still only able to help 8 times 48 people a week max, which is 8 times 6. That's whatever, right? That's 48. Yeah. That's a lot of people a week. Like the max I've ever treated was 27 a week. I mean, that's not that many people.
And it's exhausting.
Yes.
8 patients a day is not sustainable.
Yeah. And so this sounds like this is a way for you to reach more people, to promote what, this style of, health and lifestyle and fitness and wellness that, you believe in.
Yeah.
Is that, it's basically what it is. Right.
Yeah.
And so this course is something where I've worked with people and seen with people who were PTs and they started their own wellness programs, and then they became, either they're doing that or they're doing online fitness or whatnot. I think it's really awesome. But I think and the reason I want to point that out is because a lot of people think that we have to be a staff PT working, doctor's orders, following doctor's orders and doing, 4 patients a day and just doing that thing. And then they're like, why am I seeing 30 patients a day and getting burnt out? Exactly.
And you don't.
And you can still only help 40 times 6 people a day. 6 days, 40 times, that's what, if you saw 40 people a day times 5 days was 200 people a week.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah, which happens a lot. And you can affect more people than that with one post on Instagram.
Yeah. And someone did ask me, what do I use to shoot my videos? To shoot my videos for Instagram, my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And for the apps that I use for posting, because I'm very open with all this, I use Splice to kind of put the videos together, and then Vaunt to add in font when I want to. And then I use PicStitch to put it next to the photo. And the photo, I literally Google. Yeah. And then I use Fonto to add like the title and my name.
Wow, that's awesome. And you do that like every day? Like you're just manually posting this every day? Mm-hmm.
When I was in Bali, I did like shoot everything and then edit it and send it out to someone because I didn't have very good Wi-Fi. So she was posting it every day. But yes, consistency. I don't lose that consistency. I think this week I did miss one day of posting because coming back from 3 weeks of being gone is a little crazy. But even that is like a lot for me. Like I don't miss a day.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when are you ever going to like outsource that or have someone else do that for you so you can like take things off your plate a little bit?
Probably eventually, yes, I will need to. For me, it is hard to give up control of like, but it needs to be cut at this certain space. And then the wording that needs to be added in and
yeah. Are you like, do you have like a vault of images and things that you've done that you like repurpose and use in other ways or use again?
Yeah. So I like in January, I reposted a whole week that I've done like a year ago. And I mean, because you get new followers all the time or people forget. So it's totally okay to repurpose information as well. And then I do have another Instagram, the mobility method, and I have an intern running that.
Okay. And is that like similar stuff, but more focused?
Very, very similar. It's all reposting. So there's nothing being created. It's all reposting stuff. Okay.
So it's just like reposting like the non-personal, like the more mobility things from your like regular profile on there. Yeah. Cool. And then what's next? So like right now you've almost like, it sounds like you've closed down your business, or are you going to treat patients, or you're just like, I'm moving to this new thing? Like what's next? What's your big goal for this year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So I'm treating 1 day a week and I'm still taking Con Ed. I'm still learning. We're always all still learning. So I still want to have that connection with treating, and I love my clients that I have. But really I'm focused on how can I get people out to the mass or reach people in the masses to take responsibility back for their own bodies even more. I do have a subscription plan loosely put out, but I'm going to do a bigger launch for that soon. So that's what I'm really working on right now. And then just working on continuing to learn the online business, because having a social media and running an online marketing business, two different things. And I think I'll have a lot of social media friends who don't understand that. And now I'm like the go-to person where I'm like, I just started. but it's very different. So just because you started social media doesn't mean that you know online marketing. So continue to go to courses, continue to learn from people. And it's just a lot of learning right now. So as much learning as I've done for PT and for being my own therapist, I now need to dive in and put a lot of energy into learning online marketing. So that's why I stepped away from treating clients as much so that I can maximize what I'm learning in other areas. And maybe I'll go back to treating more. I don't know, but that's just where I'm at right now. And I want to just be able to continue to reach out and help more people. So that means that I'm going to be hopping on and speaking more. That means I'm going to be going around, and I just spoke at an Equinox. I'm going to speak at another one soon. So I'm just really trying to get my message out of taking responsibility back for your own body as much as I can.
Yeah. Why is that so important to you?
Because we all have it within us, which starts at mindset stuff too. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is in every field that you're in. It doesn't matter. It's all about the autonomy that you need for yourself. And I hate the message of like, I'm going to fix you. I'm going to do this. I don't believe that. We facilitate for sure. But really it's about getting people back into tuning in to themselves. And so that's my message for people.
is there something that like happened to you? Like, was it like your story or a patient you worked with where it was like, where this became clear, like your mission? Or was there something that, like triggered this, or you were like, oh, this is exactly what it is?
Honestly, I think I'm just like grateful for how I've grown up and the influence that I've had for that, because my parents have always been take responsibility. Mm-hmm. And my mom's like 65 and learning handstands. So there's, when you really just work on yourself and you don't really need someone else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have more ability within ourselves. So yeah.
What I had another question for you on my head, but that was one of the ones. I was like, okay, I want to figure, like I know what mine is, like I know I mean, that's a great why. It's like I know where it came from, mm-hmm. and I can tell you the patient it came from. It's like, oh. But it's always interesting to hear like why is it important? Because some people are like, I just want to treat patients, like they just want, and some people are like, I've got this vision for something more. Like I see in myself where, and I was telling you before, it's like I'm limited to the number of people I can see in a week and help, and there's a way to help more people beyond that. Mm-hmm. And I think technology and the internet has made that much easier now than it was 20 years ago. Yeah. 20 years ago, you had to travel around and teach and advertise in magazines. And, now through the internet, I can talk to you mm-hmm. in California. I can talk to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people through some kind of social media or other platform and spread my knowledge, to them. And I think that's amazing. I think it's like this new frontier, and professors don't know anything about it. It's like,
it's true. It's true. And so technology just allows us to have the opportunity to do more. Yeah. And I think we should be doing more, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, yes, I still want to see and touch, and that it's still, mm-hmm. that's way more powerful than what you're going to be able to do to someone online. But to be able to at least initiate getting people to think about their own bodies again.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you foresee yourself with your brick and mortar practice ever hiring someone else to treat patients? Are you, in going in that direction or even thinking about that?
No.
Yeah.
I'm still in really good contact with my friends at Mao Detox, and they are opening soon in LA. So mm-hmm. I was honestly supposed to run the LA clinic until my own business started to rise, and I was like, I won't have time for that. Yeah. So I'm going to be kind of assisting with them and kind of helping them out, because I think what they've done and their message is powerful as well. And I love helping other people. So I'll kind of be hopping in with that still, and popping in to help, maybe treating out of there possibly, but really just helping with their new PTs, their new chiros, and doing more of the teaching aspect for them.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's cool. I got a question from someone in the audience. So if I'm going to read this from Dinah, and she asks, Jen, I found you through Myo Detox. So happy I did. I've been a massage therapist for almost 10 years. And while I've always struggled with going back to school, I find that there's an exorbitant amount of modalities and approaches out there. Your mobility method is the only thing that has truly made sense to me. Have you thought about touring and teaching that to people so that we have the tools to help our clients one-on-one?
Totally. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to speak more. And I'm actually taking courses on speaking, so that I can make sure that I'm getting my message across the way that I want to. So I'm always in a learning phase and wanting to spread my message.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there any particular like course or person you're studying with, or mentor, or someone you're like, I'm learning this from them and it's like what's taken me to the next level?
I've been fortunate to be around a lot of mentors and amazing people. And even in LA, I have my set of girlfriends, and we created our own little mastermind. So we're all helping each other. And then I've sat down with amazing people who are already in the online space and just purely sat down with me to learn from them. And then I continue to seek out what conferences are out there. I yeah, I just continue to ask questions from anyone around me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What's the number one thing that you've done in the past that didn't get you anywhere? Like, what's the mistake that you made that you were like, if I could go back, I would do that over again?
I would start collecting emails way a long time ago. I started in November.
Really?
So,
wow.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. Social media doesn't mean that you know online marketing. So if you have a social media, figure out how to get a lead page into your bio and have something where someone can click and learn like 3 quick tips, and you'll have your email set up. So you need a separate professional email. You need a separate email service like ConvertKit, or there's a lot of them out there.
There's a lot of them. I use ActiveCampaign. There's
ActiveCampaign, yeah. There's a lot, but get on that. Get a lead page at least. You don't even need your website up. Just get an opt-in form so that you can start collecting emails and start talking to people. And then you never know, you can build something out in the future, but don't do what I did and wait until you're already, yeah. So that was the number one thing.
And that's awesome. What's the one accomplishment or thing that you're the most proud of?
Just every day being able to get the responses back from people about what they're doing and how they're opening up in the mobility method is, or just by seeing a video on Instagram, is super, super rewarding. And I never thought that I would even be in this position. So every day I'm grateful, and every day I reflect back on that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I got another question from someone listening in the audience. Julie asks, what advice do you have for someone in PT school right now in terms of making connections and forming relationships with mentors?
Just reach out. I honestly sit down with a lot of PT students who reach out to me and are in LA, and we grab coffee, we grab a smoothie, we grab a lunch when I can. But just reach out. I promise you people are going to want to mentor you and talk to you and say what courses to take and what their best advice is, but just reach out and ask. And then Dinah talked about MailChimp, which is fine, but if I want you to think bigger, guys. You're going to be doing more. So MailChimp is not the best to start with.
Yeah, I agree. I concur. Yeah, people think, oh, but MailChimp, you can do this. It's like, yeah, but it's not the thing that's going to take you to scale. No. And it should start with something that's going to, have that flexibility. So based on, here's another one. Chelsea asked, can PTAs offer mobility advice or videos like you if they're CrossFit or sports performance coach? I
recommend getting a basic, like fitness certification, personal training certification, just so that you can say, hey, I do have the certification and the liability behind me to be able to offer this kind of information. But it is mobility, that kind of stuff. It's just fitness stuff. As long as you're not diagnosing and you're not saying, I know why you have this pain or I know why this is a problem, then just don't cross that line. Don't say that you can fix back pain, that you can fix all these things, but just give prehab advice and general, like getting people moving well, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Jen, what's your number one piece of advice for someone that wants to start, let's say, like, I would say a cash practice, but let's say which is like an online business is a non-insurance based practice. So like for someone that wants to start an online wellness program, what's the number, other than collecting emails, which you said before is like your mistake, like what's the number one thing that they need to know or do or be aware of?
For starting online?
Yeah, for like an online wellness program.
Well, I mean, first of all, find what you want to do and why. That's always going to be, because if it's just because I want passive income or I want to make money, I mean, people are going to read right through that. And I think that's why I've been so successful so early on with this as well, is because I've been able to find the why. Yeah. And people have been able to feel that from me as well. So that is the most important thing. And then beyond that, start learning. So you got to learn emails, you got to learn funnels, you got to learn websites, you got to learn all these things that they don't teach you in PT school.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
And Jen, thank you for being here. I know it's always like, I appreciate your time because this takes time out of your day. It takes time before the show and a little bit after show. So I think I want to thank you on behalf of myself and for everyone listening for spending time with here and sharing your knowledge and experience with us. Will you tell everyone, like, where can they find you if they want to come find you online or Instagram, Facebook, or website? Where do we find you?
Everything is DocJenFit, DocJenFit.com, DocJenFit on Instagram, DocJenFit on YouTube, DocJenFit on Facebook. Everything is DocJenFit. So Instagram is where I'm probably going to respond to you first.
Okay. And then your mobility challenge, wait a minute. I'm going to share it with everyone. So Jen's got a mobility challenge. So tell us a little bit about what the mobility challenge is, and it's a free challenge, right?
Yeah,
so.
It's a free challenge, and this is my why. This will really dive in. It's like it takes 10 minutes a day, and it's just going through a couple mobility things throughout the entire body, but it's more about like the gratitude and appreciation of what you just did with your body. So it's more about that, and it really it gets people to tune in again to their bodies and start to dive in and appreciate and realize that you have the capability within yourself.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Thank you so much. And if you guys are listening, and you're listening on the podcast later on, we'll have all the links to the resources that Jen's mentioned in the show notes. So just go to the blog. It's LeBauerConsulting.com/podcast, and you'll find this episode there.